Welcome to a new episode of our podcast.
We finally found a name, or we think we found it, and we will call it public...
Intimacy.
Yeah, thank you.
So, great we are sharing here. My name is Andreas.
My name is David.
I'm from Austria.
And I'm from the Czech Republic.
And today's topic in our podcast on intimacy, or
Public intimacy.
Public intimacy, is fatherhood, or parenting from the male perspective.
Yeah, and to give you a little bit of background, or rather advertisement, we are now on a personal development weekend, which is part of a Dancing Heart school, and it's a kind of 1 year or a bit longer series of workshops where we meet once per 2 months, and each weekend is dedicated to one topic.
Exactly, and that's actually where we also met, and we have been asked to come up with a project to call public, what we actually do, and there have many nice projects being developed. And our project was this podcast, and as we really liked the idea and we got really nice feedback, we decided we are going to continue. So, welcome to our second episode.
Yeah, welcome, and I think we can just start off with the topic right away. So, Andreas, did you felt ready or prepared when you became a father?
Fuck's sake, no.
No.
It's no, of course not. Thanks for the question. It's a very good starting point, because that's where fatherhood starts. No, I have not been prepared. You see this womb is growing for 9 months, and yes, I was touching the belly, and but no, looking back at it, I have not been prepared what was coming and what I'm in right at the moment, and what I've experienced the last years. Okay, maybe to say something. My kids are now 12 and 14.
Yeah, it's very similar to age of my kids. The older one is 14 and the younger one is 10 and a half. And we also had the kids at very similar age. I was 28 and
I was 27, yes. But have you been prepared?
No. I was definitely not prepared, and I didn't feel ready. And the first few months with the mother-to-be was a difficult period for both of us. We were fighting a lot, and luckily we managed to stay in it together, but it was tough in the beginning.
Yeah, well, I did I took the wrong decision to we changed house at this moment, and I can make the advice: never create a new home with a pregnant woman, because all decisions are really, it's very difficult. All these hormones in her, and of course she was also was also her first kid. We didn't know what is coming there, and there was all these different emotions coming there, also from my side, of course. That was a very bad decision back then.
Well, funny that you mention it, because what you don't know is I actually had the same experience. We changed flat during the first months of pregnancy.
Oh no, yeah. Okay, but this
or
is
in
something.
Half, something like that.
I just remember something. I remembered my first kid was born at hospital. The second was born at home, but the first was really born in a hospital, and there's this special room. I don't know the English term for it. And I remember myself being in that room, and then my first kid was born, and I looked at it, and when it was born, and wow, I could really feel there is a small shift in me, and I could really feel the change within me, and there was this like feeling, okay, now it will be never as it has been before, as it was before. It's like, okay, and like now looking back, like now 14 years ago, it was the feeling of now I'm responsible for somebody else who is not me, and I'm responsible for this small little being to take care of.
Yeah, and how did it feel to you?
I wasn't frightened. It was just like it was a moment of truth, a moment of the now. That's how it's very popular to say it now at these times. It was it was just. It was. I was just. It was like there was no. It's not good. It was not bad. It was just this feeling. There is no other attribute to it. How did you feel?
Well, I felt. I will first describe how I felt after the baby was born and I was coming home. I was in my mind speaking to her, and it was like soul talking, let's say. And I made a promise that I will always support her, that I will be there for her, that I will do my best to support her and make a good environment.
It's a very big promise.
Yeah, I think I hope I managed.
Well, you have still some years ahead.
There were a few mistakes, but we will get to that soon. And yeah, it felt sacred, like a sacred moment, like when you are in some ritual or church or something, and you are being baptized or something like that, and you feel that it's like a moment of importance which you will remember for the rest of your life.
Definitely. I can, like, something else I could remember, or I can remember for the rest of my life is like, are you prepared being a father? No, because this little being starts screaming at some point. In the beginning, they might look at you nicely, but at some point they just start screaming, and you have no clue why they are screaming and shouting and having pains or whatever.
Yeah, I got the same. Like, first few days was really good. Like, the baby was sleeping most of the time, and I thought, it's not so bad. Okay, it's easy. But after a few weeks, she started crying a lot, especially when we were trying to put her to sleep in the evening. That was really difficult. And with the second kid, it was even worse. It was a boy, and he woke up like 7-8 times per night. So there was a time when I had to sleep on the floor in the living room to get some sleep. Because otherwise I was so wasted the next day.
Yes.
I couldn't work.
Yeah. Also my daughter is like the firstborn, and my son is secondborn. And with my daughter, she was like crying a lot, and we couldn't find out what it was, and we tried a lot of things. I can still see myself walking down the aisle, holding her all the time. Until we found out that it was some intolerance she developed when her mother ate something, and then she had like some bloated belly, and then it caused her pain. It took us weeks to find out, but then it was better. It got better, but yeah, still I can remember that. After some time, we found out, okay, this scream is for, now she's tired, now she's hungry, now there is some other pain, and like all these little details, but maybe it's not the scream, but maybe you tune into, like, you develop some empathy with that.
There's really different kinds of screams for different emotions or needs. It's like a small language.
But you have to learn that language.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was also some sign language for babies. We had a book about it. And there were a few gestures for the kid to learn, very simple. And one of the gestures was like to drink, or to eat, or give me more, or please, I think, something like that.
Okay.
And it really helped to communicate when she still couldn't talk.
Okay, that sounds nice. Like there's something else we had, and my daughter and also my son, but more my daughter, she wasn't sleeping a lot. So she woke up like every 2 hours, and so we actually took shifts at night to feed her and to nurture her or to pet her, like, or to calm her down or whatever. So that also her mother got some sleep, and I also got some sleep when I had to work the next day. So we took some shifts, but it was really, really challenging. The first weeks, months, they were tough. Yeah,
I can imagine.
and it actually brings me to another question, like to find out like really what the kid needs and how to support them. Like that was now on very early stage when they had no voice. But it even remained difficult like when they grow up, because like it's not always easy to find out what they really need and how to support them properly in their development. How do you?
Well, I would answer it from the point of now, like how do I support them now? Because as they are a bit older, 14 and almost 11, it's much easier to support them because they are already developed personalities with quite specific topics or interests.
Definitely.
So I can support them in their interest. For example, my daughter, she's now really interested in ecology and planting plants and putting seeds in the ground and making her own garden. And so she invented a project that she will turn my balcony into a kind of garden, and also the garden of balcony of my ex-wife. And I would normally not do it because I'm not that much into herbs.
True.
I'm more technical, but I like the idea, and I want to support her in it. So I will do like my best to support it. So we will turn the balcony into garden together.
Yeah, it was like also easy with my son. Like lately, like he really developed or got into football and playing football, and is interested about football, and everything is about football right at the moment. So it's quite easy. So we go to football matches, we watch football matches. He started playing at a club, so I bring him there because it's in the next village, and I even started being like a assistant coach there, like not head coach, but like if I have time, I will I do assist the training there. So I got to know all the other kids there and help them. So it's pretty cool for me as a father too. But like also to see him and observe him, how he's like doing with other kids and in this environment is pretty cool.
So football is also interest of yours?
Sort of like, it's like not my main interest. Like it's like not my main interest. But I'm into football. Like I was. All my life I was reading about football, and I was also, like when I was a teenager, I was also playing soccer.
So it's great that you, like, your interests overlap, so then it comes naturally and much more easier to give support because it's also your interest.
That is true. Well, I'm more into, I used to be a lot into passive sports, like watching it and like
passive sports. It's a nice expression.
But of course now I'm also very active, but not on team sports. Could be another topic at some different podcast. And lately because he's also now going to a school with a focus on sports, he started playing handball. And as where we live, there is quite a good handball team. So we started watching handball, like going to the hall and really watching them. and it's fantastic, like, because football is very static and handball is really very dynamic.
Uh-huh.
So he brought me into handball, and it's like a new thing. So there is like, and that's where I'm heading to. It's like really this exchange on things. Like very often he's like into, like, he's on the phone a lot and like really informing himself a lot about football.
Mm-hmm.
So he reads all the news and who is going to which club, and then he comes to me, Daddy, have you seen that this player is going to there and he's changing to this club, and this trainer or this coach has been sacked there, and so he's a lot into Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw
This is like
the posters on the wall and in your flat.
yeah, and
Yeah.
when I was a teenager, I developed some sympathy for Borussia Dortmund, and that's the big rival in Germany.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like funny that we have some. It's not really competition, but we play around with it and tease each other a little bit.
That's nice.
But in Austria, we actually support the same club, and it's also nice that we like talk about it and share the same interest there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Uh,
Yeah, and with me, the shared interest with my boy is now Lego and robotics. Last year I bought them robotic Lego, and this year I bought some kind of, to simplify it, some other robotic Lego. And we are building cool stuff with it together, and oftentimes it takes really much more effort than it looks like when looking at the result. Like a few days ago, we spent 2 hours figuring out how to make some motor which would really rotate the wheels and other things. And I'm very happy for this shared interest, because when we build something, I feel that I'm giving him not just my presence, but also like my knowledge, that I'm passing the knowledge which I'm good at to him, and he's really fast to pick it up. And I believe that because of this good start, that he will be much better at it than I am.
it's nice what you're saying. Like when you have some shared interest, it's very easy to pass on some knowledge, but also some guidance.
Yeah.
Like what to focus on or where to take care of. Like at the beginning, my son was like very rough with himself, because he was like really he wanted to excel.
Mm-hmm.
So and he
Like he was rough on his body.
yeah, exactly. He did hurt himself quite a lot, because he wanted to catch the ball and get the ball, and then he was like so it was like a development and guiding him. Okay, you have to take care of your body, because that's your sort of like capital or whatever. And so it's like it gives like a good container, or like a good method to not to teach him, but to guide him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to take than just say, like, you sit down and tell him, okay, look, life is going like this and this, or this and this is like, I don't believe that would work anyway.
Yeah, it's too boring to listen to. Like nobody likes mentoring.
Exactly, and that is like, yeah. And so it's quite easy, because then you can say, okay, look, the last time I saw you did this and this, and maybe the next time try it from this side or this side. And if you keep it in small portions, it's easy digestible, and it's also not that the kid will feel like criticized a lot.
Mm-hmm. And do you read books together?
We used to, yes. As when they were smaller, I always read them bedtime stories. Yeah, that was like a ritual we had, like every evening when they were with me, because like I'm also divorced. So every evening when they were with me, we had these bedtime stories for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. It really depended. Sometimes it even lasted longer. And even there at the beginning, I was reading, and then by time they took over some passages, like they were reading like a quarter of a page, half a page, and a full page. Like, so it's
cool.
like it really got them into reading and like how to intonate the voice and how to use it and modulate, and so that the others also have joy in listening.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty much the same thing, like and it's not like you read stupidly or whatever, and it's like, okay, try to, like, when there is a dot, just like make a little pause there and then continue. Yeah, that was like, so it like yeah, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it, and of course the reading the evening was also cuddle time.
Yeah, we have the same, like we are reading a lot, like everybody in our family is bookworm. Especially my daughter, she really loves a book, and so we read till present day. Like, since they were old enough to listen to stories, we started reading, and we read till today. And usually I read them aloud, and I change the intonation, and I learned how to pronounce better, and like impersonate like different characters in the books and so on. And also it provided really good time for like reflecting the motivation of different characters in the book. The best material for all this was The Lord of the Rings, which is quite heavy for this age. But it provided a lot of opportunities to discuss, like, what do you think about his motivation? Like, why gloom became gloom? Or what I don't know what that king wanted. Why did he send his son to death, or he preferred the other son? And some kind of, these kind of questions, which, okay, it's maybe for older kids rather, but they really understood the motivation of the characters, or it was interesting to discuss it.
Yeah, we were reading a lot of fairy tales, like, of course, German fairy tales, the Brother Grimm's and the like. But at some point, my daughter really went into these Greek sagas, the Greek
Myths.
methodologies. Yes, myths. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. So we read like a huge book, like it was like 700 pages or something like that, and we read it all over the years. Like it took us like, I think it took us like 2 years or something like that, and every now and then we took like a story, and the story was like 5, 6, 7 pages, sometimes more. And I never realized how brutal fairy tales and these methodologies or myths were. Like, and I realized, wow, fuck, there's a lot of blood and violence involved in that whole thing.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's the adult perspective. And it was very interesting to see what my kids were listening to and hearing there. Like totally different stuffs, like really, I can't recall it anymore in detail, but I really can memorize that they didn't see all the violence in there. It was more like, they liberated them, and there they helped them, and there they helped them. It's like, okay, yes, you can also see it like that. So I really got to know the beauty of these fairy tales, apart from the violence that is in there. It was really nice to look at that. And nowadays, like, they really are a lot on their smartphones, and
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Yeah, like you mentioned that your son is reading the news about the sport events and the results and whatever on his phone. So I was interested, like, how much time do they spend on it, or if you have any like limitations or rules regarding the screen time?
all of it, yes. Well, how to put that right? Yes, all of that. They got phones because, like, we have maybe yeah, I'm divorced, and so and this didn't went well, the breakup, and so the communication with their mom is really on very bad terms. And actually it's a non-communication, and so it's kind of like difficult. So at one point I was happy that they had a phone, so I could communicate with them when they were at their mom's, but which also did not take place a lot. However, so they got used to phones quite early, and so lately we talked about how to restrict it and how to use it, and so we agreed. It was commonly agreed because I just saw that he spends a lot of time with his smartphone, reading things and watching videos, and and we agreed on 1 hour plus. So we started like with 1 hour 20 minutes or something like that. It's still a lot.
Yeah. I wanted to say it feels like a long time.
And so we agreed on also limiting the apps to lower, like that he's not spending like an hour on YouTube, so watching one clip after the other. So that's limited to some 20 minutes per app. I have to say he's really watching football, and now he even has like some apps where he gets the football results and match statistics and all of these things. And he uses these apps a lot, so he's really informing himself, and then he's watching all these tricks these players are performing. So he's gathering a lot of information around football there, and yes, of course, he also plays some games on the phone. That's also true. So, but we talk about it, and the nice thing is, when we talked about it, he also asked me, "Daddy, how much time do you spend on your phone?" And I was like, fuck's sake, it's also too much. And so I was very honest with him. So from time to time we look at our statistics on the phone, how much time we spend there. And I'm spending quite some time on the phone, like sometimes even 2 hours a day. And then it also made me curious, what am I actually doing on the phone there?
Like if it was productive or not.
Exactly.
This could be actually like a whole new episode
but
dedicated to
just
social
one
media.
sentence. So the positive
stuff.
thing out of, and this is like what also parenting is, or being a father is about for me, is like, it's like, okay, it's guiding him into somewhere or into life, or like now it's like restricting or being more careful about screen time. But at the same time, he teaches me something. It's like a mirror. And
the mirror, like he's picking it from you.
Well, he's speaking, but he's also reflecting to me. It's like, Daddy, how much time do you spend there? And so I can reflect my own behavior. And then we talk about it, and then it's like, yes, you're totally right. I'm spending too much time on the phone, or I analyze it, and then I learn from that. And that's not just now only the phone, it's also other things I'm doing. So I have to say, I learn a lot from being a father. Like, kids are really incredible teachers.
Yeah, that's true. Now it's not so apparent when they are grown, or at least I used to see the mirror more, more mirroring when they were smaller.
Really?
Yeah, because sometimes it was even absurd, like how is the proper word? Like a grotesque. Doing something after you, not really knowing why. I don't remember proper example now, but I just remember the feeling that it was like, oh, do I really look like that when I do that, or something like that? Like
yes, it's like a little mirror, like a little mini me.
Yeah. And it got me sometimes, to rethink my behavior.
Yes.
And I also want to reflect on the digital devices in our family life. Like from the early age, I got them, let's say, indoctrinated about the dangers of the social media and the devices themselves. Because I was reading few articles about the parents in Silicon Valley where the digital devices were not allowed in their homes.
Okay.
And it was the high-profile managers of the major Silicon Valley companies. It's like, okay, when these people don't allow digital devices at home, they must be onto something.
Yeah.
Got me really interested, and I was reading more and more about it, about the dangers of like addiction and the dopamine effect, and so on. And I was giving my kids some kind of, how it was called, přednáška, teaching, yeah, about it, and luckily they took it for themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
So then they don't use devices much.
Yeah.
Or at least they didn't used to until quite recently.
Yeah.
And my daughter had just the old button phone for a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really strict with that. And now the thing which is like allowed is YouTube for how-to videos. Like they can watch how to build something like a Lego bot, or I don't know, some instructions for paper folding, things like that. Yeah, like I really don't want them to watch music videos or some entertainment, because I think it's like brainwashing.
You're totally right. I do agree. And at the same time, I see myself using it like that sometimes, or from time to time. So, but this is another thing. For me, it was just like very, very difficult to deal with it, as I already mentioned before, that we are divorced, and it's very difficult. So the kids are with me like every second weekend, or used to be for a long time, just like for 3 days. And then every Friday, so like it's quite a limited time routine. So for me, it was very difficult to really guide them in a sense of like teaching them things, because it was more like the focus on establishing the connection, and that we have a connection.
Like there was not enough time to really connect.
So it, like the most of the time was about like to reconnect again, and then to enjoy the time. And then the weekend was already over again.
That's really difficult. That
was really difficult, and it really took me some time. And I devoted a lot of time. I'm only working part-time because I have them I had them every Friday, so I only work from Monday to Thursday.
And did you talk with them about like how they perceive it, and how was it for them?
It was very difficult. Yes, we did sometimes, but it's very difficult for them to articulate those things because they grew up in a very, very difficult setting. So I'm happy now at the moment that we really managed to talk more and more about things. Even though at this point I have to say my daughter is taking a daddy break. And that's also an interesting, well, she's 14, and that's also an interesting experience. Now I spend really a lot of time with my son. And I think it's quite cool. Like I do appreciate her decision, and of course there were some things that led to them. Will now be too much. But now lately I got more time with. We got a new regime, a new setup. So he's with me like for 5 days, and then he's like for 8-9 days with his mom. And that's way better because it's way more relaxed. And now I can really tune into being a father, like guiding him, listening. He's like these everyday things. He comes home from school, then he says how stupid things were, and I really, really like that. I really like that part of being a dad. Sharing these everyday things, which I was missing for like a very long time. Like we split very early. And now, like, really seeing these everyday joys and everyday sorrows and pities is really cool, and I really love it. And of course, it's also challenging, but that's actually that was actually the reason why I wanted to become a father, why I wanted to have a family, and why I wanted to have kids. Really guide them and live with them through all these joys and everyday things. And I have to say, I'm very, very grateful for this period of time I'm having right at the moment.
Yeah.
And as I can see, my daughter is now 14 into puberty, and my son 12. So you never know how long this will last.
Yeah, I actually see quite similarity in this because, well, my daughter is not taking a daddy break, but I definitely see a shift of focus in her. It's like she's more looking onto her mother and taking, the inspiration from her, discussing things with her rather than with me. And with my son, it's the other way around. I feel that he is really like pulling himself closer to me, like looking for my attention, time with me. Like he's looking at me, learning how to be a grown-up man.
Yeah, it's a role model.
Yeah. And she is looking at her mother.
That's
like,
true.
And it became like a year ago, well, different times for different kids, but I really felt the shift in behavior in them. Yeah, but with you it's more pronounced because she moved.
I have to say, you mentioned in the very beginning that I was 27, you have been 28, having the kids. Yet it's not early. Like, okay, we're already adult, we're not 20 or 18. But yet many of my friends had them like later. And I have to say, I really appreciated like having them like there and postponing all my other career attempts or whatever. Because I'm still in my full energy. I'm now 40 and kids are like 12 and 14. I was like, I can really do everything with them. I can play football for 1.5 hours and I'm not, yes, I'm tired, but like I can do it. Because I'm physically capable of doing it. And also when they were young, and also to stand these long nights or sleepless nights.
It's much more doable when you are in your 20s or early 30s than the decade later. I feel it like now when I have some sleepless night because of, I don't know, party with a friend, that the next day I'm more tired than I used to be.
Exactly.
It's really, it can be felt, the difference.
I'm very happy that I'm relatively young, or I took like a nice age about becoming a father. And I have to say, like, maybe coming to him, and like it's been one of my best decisions in my life. And I even though like we are not sharing our parenting because we are divorced, it has really been the best decision. I love both of them. I love them from the bottom of my heart, and I love to see their development, and I'm just happy to be their father, and I'm grateful for that journey and for that experience.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that. Like, it's the best thing which happened to me. And I'm very glad they are in my life. It's enriching and rewarding, like to say it. It also gives me like a feeling of importance that there is somebody who is depending on me, like less and less, but still depending on me and looking at me like how to do things, for advice, for nurturing, for sharing. And that is really nice. And also it's great to see how they develop and how some influence or words which I told them years and years ago is influencing them, even though I already forgot that I said such a thing.
So true.
Like sometimes they say, "Oh, Daddy, like that time ago or somewhere you told me that and that, and I still remember it, and I'm very glad that you told me, like it helps me." And I said, "Oh, I have ever said such a thing? I don't remember."
Yeah, that's true. It's like, it's really, we sometimes don't know which seeds we plant in them.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
sometimes,
also
and then you see, oh, there is a tree.
exactly. Fuck, I didn't see it
Where does it come from?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like it's really cool, and it's also like cool to see like when they were really small and fully dependent on you, and now they're growing taller and older and now getting into teenage years, they need me less and less, and yet it's important for them that I'm here, and that they ask for advice, and sometimes it's just a few minutes a day or an hour a day, and not like a whole afternoon, because they are also having their own stuffs going on, like friends and clubs and so on. So, but it's really, really cool to be a dad, and to really have this joy in guiding these souls into life.
Yes.
Yeah, David, it was really amazing sharing our parenting and our fatherhood with each other.
Yeah, and I think there's like few more topics which we could discuss, like for future episodes. I really like the topic of digital devices and social media.
That's true.
Because I wouldn't share the problems I had with it and how I coped with that.
That's good. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. We will see what topic it will. I don't want to promise anything, because when the days coming to the next episode, there could be some other topic which will be more burning
At that moment. Very true.
So we will see.
We'll see. So thanks, David, for the sharing here. And
yeah. So
talk to you next time. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Oh, actually, it's night.
Yes.